inclusive business, really, anyway. So when we talk about inclusive business with the base of the pyramid, which pyramid are we talking about? Well, we're talking about the socioeconomic pyramid of wealth. And this pyramid represents the 7 billion people living on the planet, broken down into 3 main segments. At the top we have mature markets. Now these are people like you and me, people living in Sweden, in Europe, in Australia, and a lot of parts of the developing world. People living on over $55 a day. And there are about 500 million of us on the planet, give or take. Now this is where business has traditionally focused. So most companies focus on this market and trying to sell us more products. And as you know, we have a lot of our needs met, but still companies focus on trying to sell us more, give us the new and best of everything. And that's where the focus has been, for quite a time. Then we have the emerging markets. And this is the emerging middle classes coming out of the BRIC countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China. The emerging middle class living on between $8 to $55 a day. And now over the last 20 decades or so, there's been an increased interest in these markets from business, both looking at the middle classes as consumers, and also in terms of production through these countries. But what we're here to focus on today is the base of the pyramid, the BoP. And this is the majority of people on the planet. This is 4 billion people living on less than $8 a day. Now, these people are traditionally thought of somewhat as passive receivers of aid or of charity. And they're typically sitting on the fringes of the economy, and a lot of the times they have their basic needs left unmet. However, they also have a tremendous entrepreneurial capability, and combined they actually have quite a strong buying power. So, and not only are they the majority of the population today, but they will grow at a much faster rate than the developed world. And by 2050, 85% of the world's population will be in these less developed regions. And also, some of you may be familiar with this guy, Hans Rosling, and seen some of his videos. And if you see some of that, you'll see that, of course not everywhere, but in a lot of places, the poor are actually coming out into the middle classes, and there is development, and their wealth is actually increasing as well, as a general trend, but not as a rule. Now, for those of you that can count, you probably realize that this adds up to 6.5 billion, and there's over 7 billion people on the planet. And that's because this pyramid was put forward a few years back when there was just 6.5 billion people on the planet, and it needs to be updated. So it's not exactly the right numbers, but the thinking is there. And the thinking is that, well, maybe business should, instead of trying to focus on us and trying to give us more products that we don't really need, what about actually focusing on the needs of the pyramid, the needs of the majority of the world's population, and developing solutions that work with that? And through that, can we have a truly inclusive global economy? So, inclusive business with the base of the pyramid. Now we know who the base of the pyramid is. What's this inclusive business thing? There's a couple of definitions, and there's a few more. The World Bank has one, which is, as you'd expect from the World Bank, quite wordy: a private sector approach to providing goods, services, and livelihoods on a commercially viable basis, either at scale or scalable to people at the base of the pyramid by making them part of the value chain of companies' core business as suppliers, distributors, retailers, and consumers. A few key points there. It's a private sector approach. It has to be commercial. It's focused on the base of the pyramid, and it's incorporating these people into the value chain somewhere. Now, the one thing I don't like about the World Bank definition is that there's actually no pro-poor benefit. There's no focus on, is it actually benefiting the poor? And I think that's important. And other definitions focus more on that. So the World Bank Council for Sustainable Development says that inclusive business seeks to contribute towards poverty alleviation by including lower income communities within the value chain while not losing sight of the ultimate goal of business, which is to generate profits. So with a focus on reducing poverty. And there's a last definition that doesn't really have a source, but I think it's a nice simple definition, which is it's about building bridges between business and the poor for mutual benefit. And I think this is, the example that Anna gave, is an example of that. The poor women in Turkey, connecting them with business, and can there be a way that they can both benefit out of this? And so, there's a very important part about including them in the value chain, and you could include them as consumers, because these people have needs that are unmet. Needs for food, for water, for healthcare, for transport, for energy, and so forth. Basic needs. And there's been a lot of innovations focused on meeting those needs. Also important is thinking of them as producers. And, they've been producers, smallholder farmers for a long time now. But the idea is not to connect with them through exploitation, but instead to partner with the base of the pyramid and work together to help improve their productivity and their livelihoods, but also to help business have more sustainable supply chains. And that's a different way of thinking of them as producers. And then finally, as entrepreneurs, how can business engage with the tremendous entrepreneurial capability of these people in a positive way? So that's some of the ways of engaging with them. Then we have the concept, which you may have heard of, fortune at the base of the pyramid. And this was something that was put forward a bit over 10 years ago, or about 10 years ago, by C.K. Prahalad in his book, The Fortune at the Bottom of the Pyramid, it was called at the time. And that's a little bit of maybe a controversial idea. I know it's controversial to some, fortune at the base of the pyramid, making money off the poor. And I think that the terminology and the thinking has evolved and changed over that time. So now we talk more about creating a fortune with the base of the pyramid, not at the base of the pyramid. This type of thinking was echoed by a quote from Bill Gates saying that this also provides an intriguing blueprint for how to fight poverty with profitability, connecting those two things, which is once again a controversial idea. This is really to be seen as also as a business opportunity. So one valuation of this business opportunities from the World Resources Institute is that this sector, the base of the pyramid, is worth $5 trillion. $5,000 billion, $5 million. So it's a big number. But this is just looking at it from one perspective. This is looking at the 4 billion poor and looking what if we were to look at meeting their needs for the basic needs, for food, for energy, for housing, ICT, transport, etc. And I think this is just one side of the coin. And I would say that the opportunity on the thinking of them as engaging with them better as producers and engaging with them better as entrepreneurs is potentially worth even more than this. So there is a lot of potential for business to work with this space, and it's untapped potential. While when they focus on us, they're trying to sell us an iPhone instead of a Samsung, or vice versa. This is where people don't have these basic needs met, and there's opportunity to meet those needs. And as mentioned before, this area leads to some very exciting innovations because business as usual is not enough. You can't take a business model here and plonk it into those markets and expect it to work. You need to do things differently. You need to have different products. You need to adapt. And so it's led to a lot of innovations, a lot of exciting products. There are lighting solutions, solar lighting solutions, cook stoves. There's excuse me. Need to take this off. So this is, I'm going to take this off before I drip on myself. Oh no. Oh, wait, this is the comedy part of my presentation. I'll leave that there. This is another innovation. This is called the light straw. And typically, do I actually need this?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, okay. This is called the light straw. And typically you wouldn't use this on high quality Swedish water. But I've made an exception in this case. I didn't want to bring dirty water here to use. This is how you typically use it. It would be used where maybe the water is not so clean and you want to be able to drink the water in a safe way. So this is an innovation that's been developed for water filtration in that it filters the water as you're drinking through the light straw. And this is a business in Switzerland that's developed this technology. You have recycled cardboard bicycles being developed. You have a lot of mobile technology, whether it be for mobile technologies for agriculture, for healthcare, for microfinance, for other areas being developed. Innovations for agriculture, a lot of new technologies and new ways of doing things in agriculture. And then obviously some of the microfinance business models that have also been developed. And I think it's very important to say when we talk about innovation in this space, it's not just about products and services, but it's about business model innovation and it's about social innovation as well. But you need to have different ways of doing things. And Sweden's also had their fair share of being involved in innovation in this space. CEDA's been supporting with their innovations against poverty. We have companies like Tetra Pak who have really focused a lot on the base of the pyramid globally. Ericsson have done a lot with their Technology for Good programs. We have P-People, who's here today in the sanitation area, who'll be presenting later on. And we have Solvatten, whose solution was given a thumbs up by President Obama when he was here. And we actually have outside today some of the innovations in that space. Sorry, 1 second. Hello? Yeah. Sorry, I'm in the middle of a presentation now. Can I get back to you? Okay, thank you. Okay. This is part of my presentation. Here we have a product you may remember from back in the day, or might look something like what you had back in the day. This is the Nokia 1100. And this phone is not only the world's most sold phone, but it's the world's most sold consumer electronics product. 250 million units of this have been sold. Second on the list is the next level up from this, the 1110, which has sold 150 million units. Relatively speaking, the iPhone 4S has sold 17 million units. And so what's so special about this phone? Well, you can call other people with it. It's got a short message service, or SMS for some of you techies out there. But what they found when they were doing research with phones is that people were using the screens on their phones to light up in their communities when they didn't have access to light. So this phone acts as a phone, but also has a basic torch. Very simple, it's low cost. It also has a keypad which dust can't get in. And for us with iPhones, something you'll be jealous of, it has a 2-week battery life. So this is an innovation and it's something that has been very successful. And something that has sold to many. And of course it had to be low cost, but it worked. But what's very exciting about this phone more than anything else is that there's now research that makes the connection between connectivity and development. Connectivity is productivity, and this gives access to things like crop prices or weather conditions or healthcare services, which people didn't have before. So that's the type of value that these innovations can deliver. And this is what makes this area so exciting, the marriage of business and development.